Well, now joining us here on A's Cast Live, he's one of your all-time favorites as he's a two-time World Series champion. He's one of the great leaders in Oakland A's history. From Petaluma, the great Jonny Gomes is with us once again. Of course, I'll be doing a little TV with Johnny later here, NBC Sports California. Johnny, how are you?
Right on schedule, Townsy. Right on schedule.
You know, I got to think for you coming back and doing this is something that's great. As a guy that grew up an A's fan, you loved playing here. I know what this fan base and this franchise meant to you. But then all of a sudden you retire, right? And things change in your life. What does it mean to come back and do TV and have the A's want you to be a part of this still?
Yeah, well, so once the cleats got hung up, it was a pretty easy decision, and it was kind of hit me in the face that baseball is all I know. I'm not cut out for the real world. I'm not cut out to go do some real estate crap or some insurance or invest in that or climb the freaking crypto chain or the .com this or whatever. I'm a baseball rat, Townsy. Can't play it anymore. I'm totally cool with that. Uh, but I love watching it. I love talking it. I love educating the youth. I love educating the fans. I love watching it. So with that being said, it was a no-brainer to come back home, right, and
Yeah.
talk some shop and watch the team that I grew up watching and that gave me the love for the game, dating back to the late '80s, early '90s.
And people need to realize that when you're talking about you don't want to be in the .coms and you're not going to be a Silicon Valley guy and you're not going to be a Bitcoin guy, you might be very thankful for that someday. You're still in the game and you're still in a way still playing. We know about the Savannah Bananas, but I want you to talk about how you're growing the game and how you've been a part of this new style that hopefully we're going to see this coming year at the All-Star game. It's a version of home run derby that you guys are doing not only here but abroad, and it just seems like, and a lot of people, because I had never heard of the concept. I know some people, whether it's YouTube, some people have been able to watch it, but you're bringing something new. It's like a way for you to stay in the game with still kind of playing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called the Home Run Derby X. Um, Now there's two sides of it right now. One is like this virtual cage that we have. So it's just like a batting cage in this huge screen that's behind the cage, and it's almost like gamified the data and the home run and the distance. And instead of the distance, it's a point scheme. And you can just basically drop this cage inside an existing venue anywhere. We were just in T Square in the middle of London. We're going to go to Mexico City. Last year we did Seoul, South Korea. Um, you saw the NFL, you saw the NBA going global. Why is it going global? Because global players play in this game, right? And to grow the game, I think it's really important to get more viewerships overseas. How do you do that? You do that with exciting events, right? Baseball to the uneducated new fan might be slow, might be too long. Granted, these new rules have changed things, but just hitting them right in the face with some home runs, some exciting, some fan engagement, some logo blast. Super, super cool event. We're coming to Hartford, Connecticut, and Fredericksburg, Virginia, the two ones in the States, Mexico City later this year. But a Home Run Derby X, super, super cool.
Yeah, the concept is unbelievable, and it's kind of, it's like X Games. How,
Yeah.
you looked at the Olympic Games and you create X Games. Then I think about the Savannah Bananas, and we get to see all the hijinks and everything on Twitter. But some of it, you go, huh? That's a pretty damn good idea. Like the fans can catch balls and it's an out, and that fan, it went viral when the fan caught the last out of the game. Now, I don't think that ever happens in Major League Baseball, but are there some things that you've noticed with the Savannah Bananas? And now that baseball is actually looking to get younger, cooler, hipper, is there something that you think goes, you know what, that possibly could translate?
Well, I think there's two sides of it. So I think the Savannah Bananas is a genius idea, and it's become a cult following, and it's really, really exciting event. fan first, is their first rule. Fan first. I mean, if you want a ball, you want an autograph, you're getting it. You're getting exciting from the second you walk through the gate till the 2-hour time limit is up. I think the banana rule should stay with the bananas, but I think there should be more banana ball, right? You look back and remember the big and one push in the NBA,
Yeah.
right? So do we want some of those rules to go to the NBA? No, but let's just get and one bigger, right? So I don't think people are going to veer away from MLB to watch the Savannah Bananas. I think 100% you can watch both of them. And man, these guys are hotter than a pistol right now. And it's really, really cool to go. It's really, really cool to be a part of. My son wears a Savannah Banana hat. And he gets asked no matter where we go, like, holy cow, where'd you get that hat? Like, what? You've been to a game? Tickets are so hard to get. They're like Taylor Swift tickets, man. They're freaking so hard to get. It's a really cool platform.
Kind of reminds me of when we were growing up, the Harlem Globetrotters, right?
Oh.
They would show up to town, sell out arenas. They'd be there for a couple nights, and they'd move on. It was like a traveling road show where there'd kind of be like golf or NASCAR going from town to town, tennis. It's almost like something like, and maybe that's what the Savannah Bananas will be at some point. Or if we have a Savannah Bananas in each major town and kind of have like a league and expand on it. I love the idea. I mean, it's about showing that baseball can be fun. Let's have some humor. Let's have some fun. And some of the ideas are creative. I mean, really creative.
Yeah, no, it's every bit Circus Olay. It's every bit a Vegas show. And the concept of it, when you watch it, it's like, oh, it just flows really good. It was exciting. It's fun. But if you break it down, like, it's really hard to find good baseball players that are also showmen. So for them to have these tryouts, for them to have these players open up and get creative and do their TikToks and do all this trendy stuff, but also when the ball is in play, it's really good baseball, really clean baseball. So you're getting all the demographics, and you're getting new demographics and new fans for the game.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Is you've got to be both.
Yeah.
And that's why there's one Vegas, right?
That's right.
There's not that many people who can do it. We're talking about people who can play baseball at a high level and be full-on legit entertainers. I can find you plenty of baseball players. I can find you plenty of entertainers.
Yeah.
How many can do both?
Yeah. I mean, these guys they really, tip your hat to them. I mean, catching a big league pop-up, if you will, catching a ball with a 4.5 second of hang time, 290 feet away from home plate. We watch it every day. Might look easy, but it's tough to do that while doing a backflip. That's next level, man. That's freaking next level. And I want to watch that all day long. I can't do it, but I want to watch it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's outstanding. All right, back talking to the A's. I mean, you brought up a point last night. NBC Sports California A's pregame live. I thought it was great. And it goes back to your days, not as a Ray, but as a Devil Ray, where the A's at this point finally going younger. The average age of the opening day lineup was almost 30. Now it's 25. You're going younger. You have this unbelievable opportunity to where no one's judging you on wins and losses. You're just being judged, like, put up some numbers. And you talked about playing with your hair on fire. You got nothing to lose. Yeah. How do you install that as a guy that's been a leader in a clubhouse and a leader in the clubhouse here in Oakland? How do you install them in these guys? Because they're young and obviously, they're trying to figure out, and it's kind of like, no. Go out there and play to win, attack. I want you to be in attack mode for 9 innings.
Yeah, man, like I mentioned, it's like, I mean, playing blackjack or, gambling with your own money, can be a nightmare at times. But if someone was to hand you the money and was like, here you go, whatever you win, you get to keep, right? So you get to double down on stupid stuff. You get to hit on 18, 19 if you want. You can do whatever you want. And because you're not losing your own money. So you get to play rambunctious. You get to do silly things. You get to challenge yourself, take bigger leads, right? Try and steal third with 2 outs. Do stuff like take the leash off, take the governor off. Like 0-2 pitch. Don't shoot it the other way. Freaking try and pull a homer. Who cares? 0-2 pitch, throw a fastball right down the middle, shock everybody. And you'll find out when you're playing with conviction and when you're playing loose, that's what superstars do. And it's really hard to get to that level. So even when you're in last place, you kind of get that ability to just cut it loose and go for it.
It is so hard to explain that to people. Like when you hear the stories about King Griffey Jr., yes, the bloodlines, the ability, off the charts. But the way he approached it, where he approached baseball like it was a game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't grind video. He showed up and played. Now, obviously, the great ability to allow him to do that. But how many times did King Griffey Jr., because a lot of guys have great ability, great athletes, but they're locked up inside here. Billy Beane was one of the great athletes coming out of his time. He was tall, he was fast, but he mentions it all the time. I was a mental midget, right? Yeah. Where he was drafted, he and Darryl Strawberry were both first-round picks of the New York Mets. They both are about the same size, both could run, both could have power, but Darryl Strawberry just went out and played out a great time to where Billy Beane couldn't get out of this. They're almost the same guy, but one guy went on to have a great career, the other guy didn't. Well, it wasn't because of athletic ability, it's because what was here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just because you're playing with your hair on fire and you're letting it loose and you're going on stuff doesn't mean you're going to have like all this success. But what a great way to be able to play in the big leagues, with stuff like that. And every single day when you're in that spoiler role, or every single day that you're in last place, is a job interview. It's 100% of a job interview, because those are teams that first place teams are looking for, because everyone on that roster is tradable, right? And there's a couple ways to play our game. One is to put up a lot of good numbers and get into October, put up a lot of good numbers to get paid, or put up good numbers to get traded to a contender, right? So every single time you put that uniform on in last place, it's 100% a job interview, and you want to be wanted.
What is the key to helping the young guys get comfortable so they can perform at their best, even though there's going to be failure? But for you as like the leader and you see these young guys, what is the key and what would you do with them?
Yeah. So, I mean, failure is a huge part of our game. Our game is a results-driven industry built around failure. But you want your failure to happen with preparation, and you want your failure to fail with max ability, right? So you strike out. What happened right there? I was sitting on changeup and he threw a fastball. That's preparation, right? Like you had a plan going to the plate. Like you should never be late on a fastball in last place, ever. You should never not run hard to first base in last place. Like these are things that, hustle should never get applauded in last place. It should be expected. When you're in first place, right, you have the little injury prevention. You don't want to get hurt. October is in the near future. You're going to get some days off here and there. But man, every single day you show up to the yard, it's a job interview. Front row seat is the team you're playing against. And then the scouts behind, those are the teams for the trade chips. Those are the most valuable guys.
Yeah, it's almost like I want to plant you in there right now and put you in uniform and let you help these young guys out, because there's so much that goes on in baseball, whether we're talking on the field or even off the field. There's a lot to teach guys. They may have been drafted and got a little cash, but now they're going to have things coming their way that they've never had before. There's pitfalls away from the stadium that young guys can fall into that older guys can help them stay out of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the reasons why there's 5 levels underneath the big leagues. Unlike any other sport, unlike any of the other 3 major sports in the U.S. with hockey, basketball, and football, you go college to the show, right? There's so much more to learn about being a pro, about being a big leaguer, about having a big league routine, having a big league approach. One of the hardest things to beat in the big leagues is your scouting report. So you have to be a really good self-evaluator, right? I'm a really good hitter. So guess what you're not going to see majority of the time, right? You got to be able to switch. You hit a home run on a fastball, probably not going to see that again. You have a really good series. You have to go back and look, how was I pitched? Not going to get pitched that way the same way.
You know, we've talked, and we're going to do this later on TV. We're going to be talking about Shohei Ohtani and the whole. Everybody's like, hey, is he going to get traded? Is he not going to get traded? What should he get traded for? He's just a rental. Where will he sign? It's a simple question right now. From the Angels' point of view, everybody else's point of view, obviously, if you bring Ohtani in, he helps you for your playoff run. He helps you once you get into the tournament. He helps you so many different ways. He's basically two players in one. We know all of that. But our game is just not all about that. This is a business. So I've brought up the point. Shohei Ohtani to the Angels is big money. I mean, big, big, big money. It's big international money. We have seen it on our standpoint. When Shohei Ohtani shows up, we have people calling us who want to put Japanese advertisements behind home plate. So we make money off Shohei Ohtani internationally. So you can just imagine what they make off of him. I have brought up today in today's show, if we remember back to the World Baseball Classic, the last two games Team Japan played, somewhere between 80 to 90% of all televisions were on the World Baseball Classic in Japan. There's massive power with Shohei Ohtani staying with the Angels, especially if he's going after the home run record, which we didn't really do that much with Judge, but I wonder what we'll do with him about it being the clean record, if he's able to do it, and how they'll perceive it as a Japanese player having the all-time record in the United States. This thing could be massive. I think could be in the hundreds of millions when you talk of what the Angels could make if they keep him versus the baseball sense of the deal is, listen, I'm probably not keeping him at the end of the year. I don't want to be bad for years to come. Can he get me 5 to 6, whatever it is, whatever number you want to put on it, prospects? We know not all of them will hit. Hopefully some of them will, and that'll help us be better in the future. What's more important if you're the Angels?
Wow. I mean, there's a lot to unfold. There really is. And I can only imagine these meetings that are getting had. So you can't forget that, the Angels were almost for sale. And then they weren't, right? Probably because of the money that Ohtani was bringing in. And you're going to be in the green 1,000% by hanging on to the team one more year or multiple years. Now, you look at some of the huge trades, like in our past, I mean, all the way going back to Babe Ruth, right, was traded. But you can talk about like A-Rod going from Texas to New York. You can talk about a Roger Clemens. You can talk about a Pedro. You can talk about the 2012 Red Sox, the huge trade, Adrian Gonzalez, Josh Beckett, Carl Crawford going to L.A. Majority of these trades are actually like salary dumps. You can talk about Max Scherzer and Trey Turner from Washington to LA. And because these guys were coming up on free agency and the organization probably couldn't afford them. And Evan Longoria, David Price in Tampa. The Angels can afford him. They really can keep him. But the haul you can get for this guy is unlike any other trade in history, even as a rental. Now, to get this guy for what you have to give up, you have to be, it's World Series or bust. So how many of those teams are out there? That's interesting. And there's probably every single exec on the team that he could get traded to in these meetings, scouting their players, who to give up, how much money to take, all this stuff. But it really comes down to one dude, and that's Artie Moreno. If Artie says yes, he goes. If Artie says no, he doesn't go. His whole thing comes down to one guy.
Well, what do you do if you're Artie Moreno? What do you do? I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's the kind of money. Once we really learned this from the World Baseball Classic. It's the kind of money you can go buy a bunch of players. I mean, this has potential for big, big money. And reality is, yeah, some of those, once all those prospects hits, that's great, and that could help you for years to come. I mean, what do? Do you go with the money or do you go with the future?
It's the craziest thing you could ever imagine right now, because you are kind of arguing that Ohtani is a lot more valuable than Mike Trout, the best guy
Yeah,
in this game in the last 80 years.
yeah.
What if, they trade Trout to Philly and give Ohtani $600 million? How about that? I mean, there's a lot on the line. How long does Artie plan on keeping the team? Um, it's a really, really cool track record to follow hourly and daily in our game.
Do you trade him or not if you're Artie Moreno?
Well, it depends on how long I plan on keeping the team, to tell you the truth, because you could, I mean, it's the only guy in the game right now, literally the only guy in the game that your minor league system could jump 18 spots. You could be 18th in the farm system and jump to 1 with this guy if you want. Yeah. Especially if you made it like a 2 to 3 to 4 team trade to where you're getting prospects from 4 different organizations. And a lot of guys are, let's not forget about that option too. This isn't like getting 3 prospects from the Yankees. You can get 3 from the Yankees. You can get 3 from the Dodgers. You can get 3 from Texas. Who knows where Ohtani goes? Some other guys move around. This could be a complete overhaul.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be great. All right, buddy. We will see you a little bit later as we'll be breaking down game 2 of the Red Sox and the Oakland Athletics. A's pre- and post-game live on NBC Sports California. I can just say this, knowing how the fans feel, it's great to have you back in the mix.
See you at the office, buddy.